What's up? It's Kainu back here again for another video. Today we're going to be checking out Bill Burr answering some questions. He recently went on Wired and answered some of Google's most Googled questions. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Hello, I'm Bill Burr, and this is the Wired autocomplete interview.
His career is so interesting. He went like from not being canceled to getting canceled to now, top of the game.
That means if you weren't famous, you'd be ugly. All right, let's see what we got here.
He runs a great podcast, too.
What is Bill Burr's best special? This is like saying, which child do you like the most? Sophie's Choice. I loved Paper Tiger because I was in England, and I loved the challenge of that. And I loved Red Rocks because it wasn't even what I did, it was the crowd. And what I loved was how it was mic'd. You could hear the crowd. And if you can get through my jokes on the special, just listen to the audience. I would just say every once in a while I would say something really random and stupid, and people would laugh at the ridiculousness of it, but you always hear like one guy just go like, yeah! It wasn't a joke, it's just like,
yeah, which one he's talking about.
I think that too, that makes sense to me. What episodes Bill Burr Breaking Bad? I did the car wash one first. Then I did the one with Lavelle Crawford.
He was in Breaking
the guy
Bad.
Drops the oranges and bangs his head.
There's so many big people in that show. Like thinking back.
Saul Goodman's Office, which was crazy because I was such an insane fan of that show. I probably got in, I think, 2-3 seasons in, and I remember going in to Saul Goodman's office where he had the Injustice for All, whatever he had. We the People of the Constitution thing above his desk. I felt like I got sucked into my TV. It was incredible. And I did the train robbery, and I got to drive that big dump truck. I remember the stunt guy was like nervous, going like, well, you don't know what you're doing. I go, well, I'm only going half a mile an hour. I just let the clutch out and give it gas. I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know if I answered your question. I mean, I'm sure it's on IMDb. How come I'm your secretary? What made Bill Burr?
I'm actually curious about this one.
What made Bill Burr famous? What made me famous? 30 years on the road, 7 specials. I mean, I was definitely a ham and egger. I was not, so you can see, blessed in the looks department. You know what's funny? I did a movie one time.
Really?
And we were shooting outside. And on like 3 different occasions on that shoot, someone would drive by and be like, hey, Bill Burr, go fuck yourself. And I'd be like, hey, how you doing? What helicopter does Bill Burr fly? Like most people who learn to fly helicopters, I started off with Robinsons, and then I wanted to move up, and I was just like, these things are expensive as hell.
Bro, rich people just have the most random
this company called Cabri makes the gimbal Cabri G2 for all you non-helicopter pilots. It's a 3-bladed system. It's a baby A-Star, which is what the police and news people fly. I've flown a bunch of, I've rented them and stuff like that, the bigger ones. And I just fly like a little 2-seater. So it's funny, whenever I fly a bigger one, I'm always paranoid that the door's open because I'm used to the door touching me as I'm sitting there flying. What is Bill Burr like in real life? I am an inquisitive person. I try to stay just ahead of my depression. And if I'm learning something new, it's exciting, it's challenging, it's embarrassing because I'm making mistakes, but I don't have to listen to the demons. It shuts them up, okay? They start talking around 11:15,
yeah, you gotta go to bed early. You gotta go to bed early, or else you just start thinking.
Not anymore, though. Next one. There we go. Did you get paid as like a hand model like back in the day? When is Bill Burr gonna shut up? No. When is Bill Burr going on tour? Great question. I just started up my umpteenth thousandth tour this year, and this is my favorite.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that he's on this. He's probably going on tour soon.
Getting ready to do a special. Yep. It's unbelievable amount of fun to be on the road right now because there's so much serious stuff going on. People need to laugh, and they need something silly.
Speaking of that, I was just in Boston last night, and Shane Gillis was in town, and I have never seen more people waiting outside of a comedy hall than for this guy. And he sold out like 5 straight shows in Boston, the March 25th through 30th. It was down the block, around the corner, all the way down to like almost Chinatown, which is like 3 miles away from this specific theater that he was performing at, which is insane to think about. Kind of off topic, but I was just thinking about that. I was like, that's crazy. A comedian? Like, what is this guy, Kevin Hart?
Actually, if there's any comedians watching, if you're feeling the gloom that most of us feel, go on stage and just try to be a little silly. It actually makes you lighter. I can't explain it. When did Bill Burr move to LA? I moved here with my lovely wife in September 2007. Damn. And 2 weeks later, I bought a Prius. I just went all in. When did Bill Burr start comedy. I started comedy in March of 1992, 32 years ago. I started at Nick's Comedy Stop. I started in Boston. I've always believed that I have lived a charmed life because what are the odds that I wanted to be a stand-up comedian and I was living in Boston, the greatest stand-up comedy scene in the country, I feel.
Is it really?
And it just had absolute murderer's row of headlining comics there that you could learn from. Kevin Knox, Frank Santarelli, Steve Sweeney, Don Gavin, Tony V, Bob Seibel, Rich Seisler, all of these guys. They all had their different own styles. Kenny Rogerson, Mike Donovan. One of the best things about starting off in Boston was you knew what killing was. Where I went down to this tri-state area and I saw some of those city comics and people like that. Oh, dude, I slayed, I killed. And I remember thinking, like, I mean, you had a good set. I wouldn't say you killed. You weren't Noxie Tuesday night at Nick's Comedy Stop killing. All right, here we go. How did Bill Burr end up on The Mandalorian? I ended up on The Mandalorian through Jon Favreau, who...
That's one thing about being in LA. Like, just being there gives you so many opportunities. Like, me personally, I don't want to be an actor, but like the amount of opportunities you would get, it's like being in Silicon Valley as like a software engineer. That's like my assumption.
Listen to my podcast. Used to always hear me making fun of Star Wars and thought it was funny. Ended up meeting him at a mutual friend's birthday party. He goes, you know, there's a part in there that we're writing right now and we think you would be good for it. And I was like, you know, John, I got to be honest with you. I always kind of make fun of Star Wars. Not in a malicious way. It's just, I just see people really enjoying something and I just know, well, that's an easy hit. If I make fun of it, I can really just watch them get upset. And, you know, it fills up my day for whatever reason. He goes, no. He goes, I know, I've heard it. I think it's hilarious. I think your fans would think it was funny if you were on this show. By then, you know, my better half, Nia, was kicking me under the table. And I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. So I get down there.
Star Wars
and
calls?
the first scene I'm doing, I'm in a spaceship. And I'm the only guy that looks like a person. Everybody else has all this crazy makeup on. And I'm sitting in there, and I literally feel like I'm in the Muppets Take Manhattan. So we're going to rehearse the scene, and I'm trying not to laugh. The actors were so amazing, that all went away. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get my ass kicked in this. And I was totally locked in, and I ended up having a great time. John showed me a trailer of the first season of The Mandalorian. My jaw was on the ground because it was like a spaghetti Western. It would look like Clint Eastwood was doing Star Wars. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I almost stuck my foot in my mouth and didn't get in this. And it's one of my favorite things I've ever done.
One of the better shows in the past,
my career,
like,
and I will say Star Wars
3 to 5
cool
years.
As hell. Okay, there we go. I'm getting a little defensive.
That's your Baby Yoda.
Is Bill going to wrap this up? Was Bill ever going to get a hair system? Is Bill ever going to admit that it's not us, it's him? Is Bill Burr a Patriots fan? Yes, absolutely. All the way back to Jim Plunkett. I love the Patriots, whether they're good or bad. And I actually really enjoy how much fans are giving me a rough time right now because the Patriots aren't good. Because all I hear is, we're so relieved that you're not kicking our ass anymore. Is Bill Burr a drummer? That's debatable. I play drums. I always say I'm a guitar-centered drummer. I'm a dad drummer. You know what I mean? If you need like a cover, I can do a decent cover. I could be in a wedding band. But an actual drummer, like, you know, somebody comes in with a riff, you have to come up with the drum part that fits that and not only complements
only
it,
a few people are actually really good at that, though.
Is Bill Burr in Reservation Dogs? Yes, I am. I play Coach Bobson.
I never
They
saw
actually
that movie.
asked me to come back a second time, but unfortunately I was editing a movie I did called Old Dads, so I didn't get to do it, and it kills me because they wrapped up that show. They were building something, and the people I worked with on that, you know. Don't listen to these people that talk about Hollywood. There's a lot of great people in this business. All right. Is Bill Burr nice? Am I nice? You would have to ask other people. I try to be nice. All right. Is Bill
I feel like
Burr
he's like that old dad who's
political?
just really
I don't
like
watch
sarcastic.
CNN. I don't watch Fox News. I don't pay attention to elections. However, I'm
How it's
more
gotta
interested
be.
on what corporations are doing and what they're getting away with and why people are allowing it and why, if you're running for office, if you start to say that that's what they're doing, they just tar and feather you. I like what's behind it is kind of what fascinates me. Does Bill Burr go to therapy? Yeah. I haven't in a while. I will say the biggest change for me is I took mushrooms. What I love about that drug
I was not expecting
it doesn't make
that.
you want to do more. It makes you want to deal with your life.
I feel like that's like the LA lifestyle though, man. Like if you go to LA and live there for a while and you don't do shrooms, like at least from what I see on TV.
Bill Burr, Bill Hader. Oh, to choose between the two? I mean, that's a no-brainer. You got to go Bill Hader all day. Bill Hader is arguably the greatest impressionist I've ever seen. I fucking love Bill Hader. And the fact that you would even have my name next to his, and the directing and the writing that he did on Barry. Bill Hader is like ridiculously underappreciated by all those foofy award shows. It's ridiculous. This guy's a monster talent. And I think it's time he gets his goddamn hardware. What do you think of that? Does Bill Burr start on time? Usually not, because we have to have yonder bags, and that's your guys' fault. Because you fucking assholes, every 5 seconds you gotta sit there and film, oh my God, what's my life right now? And then you edit it like CNN and Fox News to make me look as bad as possible to try to get me in trouble so you can get some more friends. I was here on time, right? I am on time, all right? I don't know how that yonder shit works. Did Bill Burr, right? F is for family. I wrote on it. I co-created the show with the great Mike Price. Michael was the captain of...
I never understood writing for a show. Like, how do you sit down and like think about the actual idea for a show and then write a script for it and then pick the people who are gonna say it? Like, I don't know. I couldn't like what is the word? Compartmentalize? I don't know. I can't think of the word, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Of the ship. It was a big writer's room. There was 10 people in the room, including myself. And that's another question people have, you know, is my dad like Frank? Frank was an amalgam of all of our dads.
There we go.
And I actually think towards the end he was more me than anything. Bill Burr, Adam Sandler. This is about that movie Leo. I am blown away by it. First of all, how great the writing was on it, how cool Adam was to work with. I did get in the booth with him a couple of times. He's widely regarded out here as just the nicest guy. And he literally is that guy. Shows up, basketball shorts, big hoodie. Oh, what's going on? You know, he's just awesome. I made him laugh a couple times, which was like the biggest thrill of my life. But the big thing about that movie that I love is the amount of kids of all ages and parents that have come up to me and said how much they related to it, which I really think is a testament to everyone that wrote. The writing on it was just next level. Bill Burr, next one. Best stand-up. I have ones that I like for a personal reason, and somebody brought this one up. I did this bit on some benefit. Steve Jobs has died, and I did a bit making fun of him. It was something about how they said he changed the world. It was basically making fun of how he took credit for everything. And it's not on any of my specials, it's not on any albums or CDs. And I remember doing it and knowing that it was only gonna be there. Didn't save it for a special, and that it would be this cool thing. And then I also loved it because it was a really rich crowd. They were like auctioning off guitars and people paying like 6 figures for them. So I felt like their reaction, the way I was making fun of them, was like they actually knew the guy, which made it even more enjoyable to do the bit. Who is Bill Burr's opener? When you go to see me live, I don't bring cupcakes on the road. I'm not looking for a career opener. Everybody that's opened for me has gone on to headline and crush it. Paul Verzi, who just shot a special. He used to open for me. He hasn't opened for me now in like 6 years. We still work a couple of times a year together. Joe Bartnick's another guy that moved on. Joey B. And right now I've been working with Dean Del Rey, Bianca Cristobal, and Nate Craig. There's an energy you put out as a comedian when you're doing new stuff. There's an excitement. You're present and all of that, and it's contagious. And when I watch them trying out new stuff, you know, I don't want to be the dud, you know, on the show. I want to do something too. So like, I think it's really important to bring somebody that you believe can make it. All right, Bill Burr. Let's see here. Bill Burr, Elvis. He was the first, I feel like, post-television superstar and had to deal with a level of fame where there was no roadmap. He's the original behind the music. And if you look, he made every fucking mistake. Surrounded himself with yes men, did drugs, married a 16-year-old. I mean, he just did everything. I don't want to get into this too much, but you know what I mean. Died alone on a toilet. Bill Burr.
Oh my God.
Fenway. That was something that was so big, I think I only recently thought about it. I'll never forget just being on stage and seeing Fenway Park, because we were out in center field. My family, we used to always sit out in right field, it was a great time. And to be able to come back all of those years later to get that kind of love from my home city.
Y'all, it's something to think about that's just wild is they get on stage like literally like 3 or 4 times a week in front of like 100, maybe 500, maybe 1,000 people. And he's been doing this for 30 odd years. That's just, wild. It's wild.